Hello everyone and welcome back guys to my F1 2018 driver predictions guys. And we're at that point in the F1 2017 season, the summer break is actually coming quite close to the end, to be honest. I've sort of only just thought about it now that we're coming towards the end of the F1 2017 summer break. Spa is just over a week away when I'm recording this video, it's a week and a half away, nearly enough 2 weeks still away, but by the time this video goes out, Spa will be very, very closely upon us, guys. And I sort of wanted to talk about today my predictions for who will be where in the F1 2018 season. Now, I'm sort of going to give reasons for this, but I don't want this video to trail on for too long, guys, so I'm going to jump in straight away with Mercedes. And I think for me personally, it's going to be very, very simple for them. It's going to be Hamilton and Bottas. I've still got Hamilton as my driver to win the world title, and I'm not going to lie, Bottas has done a lot better than I ever thought he would. Hamilton hasn't put him away as much as I would have thought, which is sort of good for Mercedes as well in the constructors standings, but it sort of makes it a little bit more difficult if Bottas does get within, sort of within a shot of the World Championship. But both drivers are doing everything they need to, in my opinion, at Mercedes. They're both winning races, they're both right at the front when they can be. So it's nice to see for Mercedes. There's not too much of a rivalry between the pair of them as well, for now, to say the least, guys. But then let's move on to Ferrari, and they're going to keep Sebastian Vettel. There's no real point denying that. I'll be highly surprised if they don't keep Sebastian Vettel, but obviously the real question, like it's been for the last 3 years, is Kimi Räikkönen, guys. And I sort of feel, Kimi, it's the first time that car's been within the shot of the World Championship since he's been at the Ferrari team. And it's looking at the moment like Ferrari are just going to keep making him be the number 2. If they're 1-2 in a race, it's going to be Vettel that's going to win. And for Kimi, you sort of get the sense that he doesn't really care too much. But I think by the end of the season, if it keeps happening, he can just kiss goodbye to Ferrari. So that's why in the second spot, I'm gonna make a bit of a gamble here. And I'm going to put Max Verstappen there. Obviously a lot of teams really want him in their car. But I think, Mercedes are happy with what they've got at the moment. And I think, Ferrari could actually... This could work out very, very nicely for Ferrari. Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen in that car would be very, very feisty, I think, to say the least. It'd be brilliant to see how they would compare to each other, guys. So, obviously, with Verstappen out of Red Bull, that left my predictions for the Austrian team to be Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz. Now, obviously, Sainz has been complaining that, there's nowhere for him to go at Red Bull at the moment, guys. If he was able to get into that Red Bull seat, obviously, if Verstappen left, then that would be very, very good for him. Ricciardo, I don't really see moving around that much down the line through the next few years, and especially with, Verstappen's reliability, I think, it's more and more inclined for him to move over to the Tifosi, guys. But next up on my list is Force India, and, they're doing so well this season. A little bit of a shout to them, they're looking very, very good at this moment in time, guys. So I'm going to put Perez and Ocon there for another season. Both drivers doing very, very well at this moment in time. So, hopefully for them, they can continue the good work at the Force India team there, guys. Next up then is Williams. And, obviously, Felipe Massa is a bit like Kimi Räikkönen. You sort of expect him to leave the sport sooner rather than later, guys. So I'm going to, obviously, Stroll, he's sort of brought it back a bit in the later date of this season so far. So, I'm going to leave him in that team, as well as Paul di Resta. Now, a few people might think that's a little bit odd, but obviously, personally, in my opinion, he did really, really well at Hungary, because he hasn't driven a Formula 1 car in about 3-4 years. I think, for Paul, that was a really, really good result. And I think, to be honest, if Felipe Massa does go, then he's sort of their best bet for next season. It'll just be ideal to have there. Obviously, he's a really good third driver at the moment, and just shows how adaptive he can be to the car when he really needs to be, guys. Next up then is a Renault, and a lot of people are predicting Robert Kubica, and I personally still think he's far too old for a comeback to Formula 1. So I'm going to go with Nico Hülkenberg and Jolyon Palmer to continue in that car for next season, guys. I'm probably going to get a bit of hate for Jolyon Palmer being in that car, but I really feel, second half of the season, the first half hasn't been perfect. He's been unlucky quite a few times, barely missing out on the points, and especially, there's been times where Hulkenberg's also had a much better car as well. But Palmer, he's improved a lot since the start of the season. So I really think, he can be nicely in the points during the second half of the season, depending on how well the Renault development is further on down the line, guys. And that takes us on to McLaren, which I'm going to have to be a little bit boring once more and say Alonso and Van Dorn. You know, Alonso I feel will just be there one more season, and Van Dorn will also, you know, Van Dorn's sort of been one of the only drivers that, you know, would sort of stand his own ground and really hasn't, to be honest, in the grand scheme of things. You know, we really haven't seen much from Stoffel Van Dorn this season, and, you know, that's a bit unfortunate, but still, hopefully, you know, he'll be able to bring it back a little bit in the second half of the season. But I think that will be McLaren's lineup for 2018. Now, obviously, we already spoke about Sainz going to Red Bull, so Toro Rosso next season, I've put Danny Kvyat because, you know, he's got his contract sorted, if I'm not mistaken. I've gone with Danny Kvyat and Pascal Wehrlein. Now, obviously, Wehrlein is sort of making a few changes here and there in the Formula 1 scene at the moment. But, you know, if he can try and get into that Toro Rosso seat, you know, it would sort of keep him... You know, I feel for Pascal Wehrlein, he's safely got a seat in Formula 1, no matter where it is for the next few seasons. You know, he's looking strong at the moment. He's doing what he needs to do. So for me, Pascal Wehrlein will remain in Formula 1, you know, with that Mercedes backing. So now, perhaps we could see Toro Rosso with Mercedes power units further down the line. You know, for them, that would be ideal if they can get Pascal Wehrlein in the team as well. So now, I think Kvyat obviously has got his contract confirmed, and I think Pascal Wehrlein would make a very, very good addition to the team, guys. And that leaves us now onto Haas, which I think they've basically got both their contracts sorted. So, you know, it's going to be Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen in that car next season, guys. And finally, but definitely not least, we have got in the Sauber car. I've got Marcus Ericsson and Charles Leclerc. You know, Charles Leclerc is tearing it up in GP2 at the moment. You know, I'm not his biggest fan. I don't really follow GP2 that much anyway. But yeah, he's doing very, very well. So it's going to be hard to keep him out of a Formula 1 seat for too long, as well as the fact Ericsson, I sort of feel, you know, he'll overstay at Sauber. You know, they sort of won't want to kick him. Sorry, they sort of will want to kick him, but they just won't be able to, guys. But there we are then, guys. That has been my F1 2017 predictions video, guys. And hopefully, you know, you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave your predictions down in the comments down below. You know, what you're expecting for the 2018 season. I will also be bringing out a 2017, you know, second half of the season predictions video as well, guys, a little bit later on, probably next week as well, just before the Belgian Grand Prix, guys. But the F1 summer break is nearly over. But as I said, do not forget to like, subscribe, leave your predictions down in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time for a brand new video.